Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Official Valence League. I am your host for today and your play-by-play caster, Ma, joined by Demise as my color cast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for inquiring. I'm doing great.
Awesome. So we are here for to be decided against Bob Academy Junior in Division 3B in Split 4 of the current season. And we are just going to be jumping into picks and bans. And from what I can remember, I'm just here very much last minute. I believe Bob Academy Junior have actually lost bans. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, they have lost the first 3 rounds in game 1 because they logged in their roster kind of late.
Unfortunate. So we will have the very much the pleasure of, well, just having 3 sections of 30 seconds of just waiting for timers to go down. But the first ban coming over from TBD is actually going to be the Kazakhs. And we will just wait and see what the next ban will be on the blue side.
And well, it's gonna probably be just the comfort picks of either team. If you're gonna ask me what's gonna happen.
Yeah, so we see the Nautilus coming out right here.
Yeah.
Just get my notes back up quickly. Yep, so Nautilus been banned out here. Some of the key picks which haven't been taken out yet. I'm noticing from the solo queue records at the very least, Yon is actually played very much, well, nearly all the time by Legolas Norris. So I'll be interested to see if that is getting through. Tom Kench is one for, I'm going to butcher that name, I apologize. Criswick?
Yeah, I
Criswick?
think it's
Criswick?
Criswick. Yeah.
Criswick?
Hopefully it's Criswick.
I haven't said the name in a very long time because I've not been around VL for quite a while, so I probably have butchered the name, and I do apologize. So it'd be interesting what doesn't get banned out here. So it will be the Tom Kench. So what are your thoughts on these bans then?
Okay, so these are mostly comfort bands, but all of them also establish the same theme. Like at least Tom Ken Chan Nautilus established a theme. Like we don't want tanky engaged supports that can just pop aftershock or keep healing and shielding like the Tom. So maybe they want to play something that is a bit more bursty, and these are the things that are going to disable them in lane. Or maybe they just want to play something in lane that would have a hard time against the Tom. One of them would be the Aatrox that has just been logged in.
Yeah, so V2 yourself, or otherwise known as Jens, be it someone who's been in VL for quite a long time now. He's been one of those sort of main Aatrox players. Very much whenever you do play against him, he does tend to get banned quite a lot because he is one of the more competent Aatrox players around VL. So definitely, I understand that lock-in very much, but it does bring a problem of blinding your top lane. So I'd be interested to see what they go with right here. And a very early Poppy pick. I'm guessing that's just going to be very much a direct counter in that lane.
Yeah, it should be. And Poppy is pretty good into Aatrox, especially in the current landscape. Because there are a lot of champions that want to use dashes as well, not just Aatrox in the meta. Like you can think of maybe Viego with his jump. You can think of who else? Like Kiana, there's a lot of assassins and junglers that have a lot of dashes. But the rest
Yes.
talking.
Yeah, so Thresh locking coming out right now. Thresh is one of the champions that's been quite popular throughout the season, really. Both in you can kind of go anywhere really, solo queue, in fives, in VL, in pro play. It's very popular, big everywhere. The only question I'd say about the Poppy is that you are kind of. It's almost like if you pick Trundle early. Now, this might be a bad example, but if you pick, for example, you pick a Trundle early, you're kind of going in for,
Yes.
and it's gonna be
Yes.
wild as Ivern. I think is this just gonna be TBD picking all their comfort picks? It seems like
Probably.
it.
I mean, it seems like it. Like we see the Ivern, we've seen the Aatrox, and now is the Katarina as well.
Yep. So this is basically TBD just picking up all of their
Mains.
signature champions. I would call them the signature champions.
Yeah, like
While they're being
Senpu
one of
has
those,
180 games on Katarina. The champion next to Katarina is Samira with 15.
you could say he's a. I don't want to call him a one trick. Let's just call him a main. But
Yeah, an
there's the Yone pick.
enthusiast.
So something I mentioned earlier was actually if they left that Yone open, would Bob Academy actually look to actually pick that, and they have done. So I'm not quite surprised by that. I think it's a very strong pick for especially someone who is skilled on that champion, which like last Norris it does play a lot of. Very similar to Senpu playing Katarina. So that's going to be a very interesting battle. And Bob Academy have now got bans for this phase, so we do see the Morgana going away.
Yes, and Morgana is really good because, like, first of all, you have Thresh. You don't want them to black shield the hook. You don't want them to black shield somebody who's jumping in on the carry. Which I assume is gonna be in a mobile carry just from the pick of Thresh, because usually you either pair Thresh with someone who can work with the engager in a mobile 80 carry, because you have the lantern as a get out of jail free card.
Yeah, definitely, and there is a lot of CC options here on the side of Bob Academy. So having that Black Shield being available would have been very vital. So we see the Gallo coming away from TBD. I guess they are.
Just to like not let a
Hmm.
Katarina have a really bad laning pace, because Galio is the biggest counter to Katarina.
But I question whether Yone will be going mid lane, Thresh going support. Where would the Gallo then go afterwards?
You just put the own top and put the Poppy jungle.
I guess you could do that, but I'm guessing with the Poppy as well. I guess you could go Poppy jungle, couldn't you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, understood. So we see Ezreal getting banned,
And Ash.
and Ash has been. I'm surprised by the Ezreal ban, only because I think it's the only. He's a champion that doesn't have a dash, but he can still move away from Poppy.
Yeah.
It's like it's like a blink which doesn't get interrupted by Poppy's. I think it's a W. I don't know what it's called, but it's the W.
Yeah, it's the W, yeah.
Yep. So you see in a Moomy now. So I can see there's a very tanky front line coming out from Bob Academy. So I'm very interested to see what TBD respond with. They do have to round out their bot lane. They've seen the Thresh coming out for Bob Academy. Fluffy Bunny will... Looking at the Lucian, will go to a
Sivir.
Sivir. What's your
That
feelings
like
on the Sivir pick?
yeah, that is just like toes on a spell shield. Like you have movement speed to boost up the Aatrox, the Katarina, and like you can use it to even disengage as well. Because like you look at the side of excuse me. You look at the side of Bob Academy right here. They don't have really that much mobility. Like yeah, sure, Yon can technically run you down, but like a lot of them are much more stable champions, like or static in the theme of their movement. So that movement speed can like make or break a fight if you like manage it well.
Yeah, definitely so. And I think with the picks now coming out here, as we do see a Vayne lock-in, I do like the Vayne in this composition. I have to admit, there is a lot of hard CC that should be able to peel the Vayne in team fights. The only question I would have is if TBD can actually get on top of the Vayne before Poppy can get her W back off, or if Thresh box is not planted at the right moment, then I do fear that this team could get sort of rolled over, or at least to the point where they just simply don't kill off the Katarina because Ivan exists, or they can't kill off the Aatrox because Ivan exists. And also Braum at the same point, there's essentially two supports on the side of TBD, with what you could claim as being a more hyper carry from Katarina, as well as the assistance from Aatrox and Sivir. So it's going to be a very interesting game, this one.
It can be, and one of the most interesting things about the Katarina pick is what item build are you going for? You know, there is the standard like Nashor's Stew, Thrift Maker into full AP. There is the on hit build where you go Nashor's like Blade of the Rune King, and then you go like tanky-ish items. And then there's like the wacko builds, like people who like go Divine Thunder, for example, or things like that. Because you gotta remember the daggers do apply on hit, and the ultimate applies on hit as well. So like
Hmm.
that is like massive like AoE damage, and that's why a lot of people like go Nashers and Blade of the Ruin King, even though the scaling is like 15 to 25% on the ultimate with every level, but still like 25% of both the Bork and Nashor's Tooth every like few milliseconds is actually like a massive amount of damage. What?
Yeah, definitely. I would contest that. I don't think the AD or at least on hit build would be ideal here, just because if there's an Aatrox and Sivir on one side, excuse me, they do. If they did go for the on hit slash AD build, then I would fear that there would be too much AD on that side to go up against like a Poppy, the Amumu, and
Yeah,
actually they would struggle to get past that front line and struggle to really kill off Vayne and Yone if the team fight positioning is really well executed by Bob Academy.
indeed. But the thing is, you have the power of spacing in most of the matchups. 8 against Poppy. Poppy cannot die in an extent because he cannot dash into you, but Aatrox still have control of the lane. He still have the range advantage, and unless Aatrox does something really bad in the lane, he should always be healthy. He should have control of the wave. He should be healthy. Like it should be in a pretty even lane in the top side. So you wouldn't really expect a lot of volatility anywhere other than the bot lane. And the bot lane is gonna be really scary because like you have good gank setup from both sides and good junglers on these ganks.
Yeah, definitely so. And I think with the latest Amumu change as well, because now he has two charges of his Q, that makes that it makes it very difficult to, if you're playing a Sivir, for example, when when do you cast Spell Shield? Do you cast it maybe after? Do you just bank on him missing the first one? Maybe go for the second one. Do you do you even Spell Shield the first one and then try and run away? But like that second Q for a move is actually quite key for getting to go against Sivir now, because it's not a case of just missing or dodging or spell shooting or just the one Q. And even there's the ultimate still to take into account. So Mr. Fluffy Bunny's like execution on the spell shield is going to be very key to how he stays alive in these team fights.
Yeah, and especially like in team fights, it's much more like easy to like be away from things like a thresh hook, for example. But like in like the early to mid transition, you have a lot of CC. You have the thresh hook, you have the flay, you have both of them with bandages, and you have the curse of the sad mummy. One spell sheet is not gonna be enough. There will be a need for the Ivern to always like hug the Sivir, because Katarina and Aatrox can like manage on their own. They Aatrox is kind of tanky and Katarina is really slippery. Sivir though is like really immobile and she really relies on the spell shield to like stay alive in team fight.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we get ourselves loaded into game one of this series, we're going to have a quick look at the runes, hopefully. Nothing too different coming out for what I can see. Although, I do want to hear your opinion about Conqueror Mumu, actually. How do you think? Do you think that's the right keystone? Do you think maybe just the normal aftershock maybe still the way to go?
I think as a Mumu in this situation, the Katarina is gonna be on the backline. Sivir is going lethality, so you don't really have to worry about her and like getting something like aftershock, for example. If Aatrox is gonna be hitting you, he's not gonna like be killing you that quickly. I am still a fan of aftershock because I believe that like your job as Imumu here to stay alive and distract them as much as you can. But Conqueror can fare really well, like especially against Ivern. Like yeah, sure, Ivern isn't like the most like pressuring of junglers, but like Conqueror and Mumu can like stay there and like fight and get some 2v2s going against like Ivern Katarina.
Hmm.
I'm kind of
Yeah.
interested though that this is like a lethality Sivir, not like a usual crit one.
Well, yeah. No, I do kind of agree with this, because the fallacy is it's excellent if you're hitting Vayne and Yone. But I do question if they're going to be able to hit if Fist of Flame is actually going to be able to hit Yone or Vayne on a regular basis, especially when it comes into later in the team fights. As we are just going to get ourselves loaded into game 1 and actually get onto the map. And we'll have our usual 10-second delay, and then we'll be able to get ourselves into game number 1.
We pause.
Same here. All right, and we are into game number 1 between TBD and Bob Academy in Division 3B for Valence League. It seems like at the initial get-go, the TBD are looking for a play in the bot side. As a invader is spotted out on the top side of the map, but they haven't spotted out the bot side. I wonder if Frederick the Pig is going to be aware of this. He is aware and is going to back away, but they are going to be able to get themselves some vision down on the blue buff for Bob Academy.
Yeah, and they managed to find like the invade and go out unscathed, which sounded a little bit too good to be true, to be honest. Like I don't think that like leaving the Ivern, which is your one long range CC ability, off of the invade was a good idea. I would have rather like have the top lane there. Like I'd rather have the Aatrox sitting there over the Ivern if you're gonna go for an invade. But no harm, no foul. Like you just find some skill shots and whatnot, and everybody's safe. And it's looking to be a standard level 1.
Yeah, and the brilliant thing, of course, about Ivern is that he doesn't need any leashes, of course. So Bob Academy won't have initial knowledge of where he's starting on the map. And one of the key things for an Ivern is that it's really key about how he paths. Wilder is very, very experienced on this champion, and he knows what he wants to do. So it's going to be key for Mr. Timeless on this Mumi pick to actually try and understand it and actually trying his best to read him on this path. And he is actually going to be spotted on that ward as he goes for the blue buff.
He's gonna get the blue either way though. That is kind of big because Amumu can starve out of mana in the jungle, especially early on. And they're finding a gank in the bottom lane.
And there's only one to attack before a stun. That's going to be a stun from Wilder into the root. Duma is going to be related out, and Frederick the Pig's going to get stunned up again. He's going to burn the heal, and he's going to go very low, and he's not going to get caught on that escape. He does have to burn the heal for the exhaust of the Barbarian, and they do get away just in time.
Yeah, but 2 summoners for 1 right there is still a good trade, especially considering that the Thresh is very immobile now. He has Hex Flash, but still doesn't matter. And the Vayne is very short range as well. So like if there is a repeat, especially considering that like you can see Amumu is going to the blue buff of the Ivern. If you're smart here as the Ivern player, you just forego your top side and just vertical jungle. But it doesn't look like it's this way, it looks like Wilder is going for the wolves. But otherwise everything is fairly standard other than like some usual trading in lane.
Yes, it's top lane is being pushed in right here from Poppy into Aatrox. Something we kind of expected. You touched on it in the into the draft picks earlier, where we don't really expect. And just hold that thought as he has taken that dash, and Amumu is going to look for a gank in mid lane. The root does land. The director's cam has gone straight into top lane. But I can tell you that there's no flash. Katarina is actually safe up there, as there's actually a kill from your Selfie2 dying to Kruzvik's dive, and Wilder does come inside trying to get the response. Oh, he's going to flash away. Is he actually going to escape from this? Wilder's going to have brush.
Auto? Yeah,
he does have brush for the red buff auto attack, and Kruzvik's actually taking this fight, and he's going to not get it. He does get it. Kruzvik does get the kill. He gets the double. Your Selfie2 is now going to try and come back in. He should get the shutdown, and he does. But very good and a very key 2 kills over to Kruzvik.
Yeah, very 2 important kills, especially considering that this part, like levels like 2 through 5, is the strong part of the Poppy in the laning phase. Managing to find a solo kill and managing to delay Wilder, who is right now very behind, especially on Ivern, where you're very dependent on Smite to clear the camps instantaneously. It is a very big setback that he only has 1 mark, and you can see that Mumu is just playing with the jungle. He's like doing the bottom golem. He's probably gonna hover into bottom lane right now, and it's looking really rough. But the silver lining is now Aatrox has a double buff.
They do. There's the three-pronged attack. The spell shield's already down. Titanus does actually go for the Braum. I don't know if that was intentional, but he missed on the hook. He gets the second hook onto Navarian. And they're going down really low. Titanus is down really low, but Navarian does die off, and Frederick the Pick has to flash away. Senpu is actually now trying to go into mid lane, and Legolas Norris is actually going to potentially get out. Wilder might have to get another auto attack if he can get in range. Gets the shield off his W, and Legolas Norris will stay alive. Very close to getting a response kill both in mid lane and in bot lane as Titanus goes down to really low HP once again. And all said and done, just one. There is the kill in bot lane that goes over to the Vayne, and no response from TBD.
Yeah, and you can see like big exchanges, but it is kind of even. It's not even, it's like winning for the Yone, because it still has a TP, while the Katarina had to burn both of her summoners pre-6, which really like dampens her roaming potential.
Ooh, Cosmic nearly wanted to go for the dive there, but did not continue it. I think that would have been the Spider, because I think he would have traded 1-for-1.
Yeah, but I mean,
Jens
like, he has a level advantage over V2 right here.
Yeah, he doesn't beat
a really rough time.
Yourself V2 does have the double buff still, does have the red buff to play with, but doesn't have any ultimate, and Cosmic is gonna get tagged twice there. It might be another Q. He does actually get the Q, and Yourself V2 outplays him and gets the kill onto Poppy.
A little bit overzealous right there from Cosmic. He had it, but he just took too much damage from the Qs. And that was really well played from B2 yourself there to find the angle.
Sinus gets it, Wallace has to smite early, but Yone has got himself into the Dragon Pit, and that's going to be another kill. That is a stolen Infernal Dragon. That is also 3 kills over to the side of Bob Academy, I apologize. That's also a double kill for the Yone. Bit of a disaster on the Dragon play there for TBD.
Yeah, and it's pretty much the worst possible outcome, because you can see where the kills went. There's 2 of them on the Yone, there's 2 of them on the Vayne, and this is where you want your gold allocated. This is looking really scary, like the Ivern is 0 and 2, he's really behind on levels, and in camps, and he's still being counter-jungled to this moment.
He is, but the thing is, like, Thresh is also here as well, so he's going straight to jungle, trying to do something, but Wilder might also be facing an impending death right here. It does flash away, there is no hook on the side of Thresh, or at least if there was, it missed. His jungle does not belong to him. There is the hook, but Duma is going to get attacked by Mr. Fluffy. There's also the storm from Braum, and a kill will go over to Katarina for the true Senpu. So a kill back after a bit of a greedy return, and Yourself V2 is getting very, very low. He's going to have to get a recall or face another impending dive.
Yeah, and this is where you really want to get out of the lane as the Aatrox.
Oh, he's trying to get out of the lane. I have to kind of cut you off there because Cosmic was trying to go in right there. Jens is going to get away. Senpu does go for the ultimate, and Gus the shutdown to Yone. That is a huge shutdown for Katarina. That is a 200 gold shutdown going over to the true Senpu.
Yeah, and depending on what he builds, this can really accelerate him. He probably can go get like tier 2 boost right now on this recall. And he has his Ignite back up, and you can see, like, he bought the tier 2 boost. He has Ignite up, he has really big potential for roams right now and fights around the Herald. And
yeah, that was good.
Really important.
And that was a good call to actually say that he can go for those tier 2s, because that extra penetration will be very key when trying to at least eliminate the Vayne and also the Poppy and the Amumu when it comes later on, having that extra magic pen. So it'd be interesting to see how he goes into his build, because you mentioned earlier there's like 2 or 3 builds you can go as the Katarina. So it'd be interesting to see what he eventually ends up choosing.
I mean, the start of Blessing One can indicate that you're probably thinking about Night Harvester or Protobell.
Ooh, Norris actually may have tanked a turret shot off that inadvertently, but it won't affect him too much right there. Mumi's actually sitting at the top of just the top of mid lane right here. It's just looking for a potential gank. He does have access to level 6, so Curse of Sad Mummy is available. Did go searching for it, but he's inspired, and now he's just gonna walk away.
Yeah, and you can see like this Aatrox is right now, he's struggling. He hasn't found the team fights where Aatrox really excels in, and the Director camera just spends at the top lane.
It's playing top lane, but Senpu he's gonna actually end up dodging the Fate Sealed, but there's the curse off the Sad Mummy, gets stunned up, and that's gonna be Yone picking up the kill over True Senpu. As there's good bot lane action, Frederick the Pick is in a lot of trouble, and that's gonna be a shutdown for the Sivir on Mr. Fluffy Bunny. Action all over the map.
Yeah, and it is yet another shutdown, and yet again it's on the carries and BT yourself.
Ooh, and yourself is just staying over just a little bit too long. Ends up getting towered over. And
Yeah, and
Duma
the
is
thresh,
taking that fight, but I don't know
Duma.
if you want to take that. It does end up flashing and very, very little amounts of HP.
Yeah, and Daisy
Daisy,
is summoned in the top lane, and apparently he's chasing down Criswick.
he's chasing him down, but he's taking a lot of damage off here. I think Wilder was just looking just to get access to the wave clear. But
Yeah.
Amu's in the vicinity, and that Poppy is, well, Daisy's being very annoying as per usual, and there is Daisy's gone eventually.
Yeah, but that is a big cooldown right there, because I don't think Daisy will be available in time if we want to start a Dragon ASAP on the side of BOB right here.
He does, but Tylus may have been caught out here. Senpu is going forward, and there is the ultimate coming up on Senpu. There's the reset going to Mr. Tylus, and also trying to go for Kurzwick. He's very low, gets another dash, and he's going to...
Oh,
He does not get the shield. That's a double kill going over, as Duma now coming over. I don't think he wins this. If I'm being
I think
honest.
he does.
Oh, he does in the end, the Ignite, stopping any extra healing from Senpu after the Conqueror stacks got stacked up. But the good Ignite play by Thresh, he does actually get the kill back from Katarina. As Wilder is going to be just starting up this Rift Herald, and a
Yeah,
movement
he's
is
starting
up
the
now.
Herald, but like Legolas is in the mid lane, and Duma is watching the Herald, and they're approaching, and he has to back off.
Yeah, he does have to back off. He couldn't really risk that. But while all that was happening, Legolas Norris has actually just stayed in that mid lane, as you said, and he's managed to get himself a couple of tower plates off that. So the gold value from Senpu running over and getting those kills, it is very good for Senpu and TBD, but it's offset just a little bit by the tower plates that Norris has managed to get
Yeah,
himself.
and right now they're the ones that's getting the Herald, and this is really impeding Doom if you're TBD, because right now you have really struggling solo lanes. You have like a 30 CS differential in the top side, almost the same differential in mid lane. The only lane that's like winning in CS is the bot lane, which has been the most like even one so far. But this Herald, if you can give it to Yone or if you can give it to the Vayne, it is a lot of value, and I assume it's gonna be given to the Yone because you can see everybody's moving there for some time.
Yeah, and Senpu's having to run down. He does have his team with him out here, but there's going to be a flash. He does actually get stunned, but there's the Fate Sealed, and it actually just missed out on Wilder. I think he had to flash on that, actually, and there's actually a very good disengage attempt by Navarian, but he's going to get caught by the amount of CC, and that's going to be him going down. As the Dragon's now going to get started up. The TP did come through by your Selfie too, but I think they're going to be looking just to call that off, and that's the Ocean Dragon going over to Bob Academy.
Yeah, and they called it off, but this was probably as close as they were gonna get, because you can see like right now there's almost 2,500 gold difference, and there is still more gold to be infused just off the Herald.
Ooh, and Fluffy Bunny does actually miss dodge too.
Oh.
Doesn't quite dodge the third attempted CC as the second Bunny does, but Duma's getting really low. Heal used by Vayne, and Wilder's going to go and collect up the Duma. And Daisy is going to try and get onto Mr. Tynus. He doesn't have any Qs available, but there's the Condemn coming out from Vayne. There's the knock. There is the passive being stacked up, and while Mr. Fluffy Bunny will end up getting that kill on Mr. Tynus, a good responsive kill by TBD after the Dragon play.
Yeah, a good response kill, and most importantly, the Herald might actually miss the play timing.
Oh, and Navarian is taking that very bravely. He might actually die to that. I think he doesn't actually die to that. That play actually works out in the end. Norris is going for the 1v1, but he does not have access to Fate Sealed, so he ends up giving his life away. And all of a sudden, that was a 2.5k gold lead that Bob Academy had. It's now gone down to, well, call it 100. Pretty much even case now.
Yeah, 100, and the Herald that you have acquired and spent resources on as like Team Bob Academy, suddenly it's wasted, because you can see it. Hit 14 minutes, plating is falling, Herald is there in the inventory of the MMO. And that is a lot of gold. Like, that can be like, what, like 500 gold infused into one of the solo laners that wants to like steamroll to your advantage. And it's kind of really misunfortunate, and the Katarina seems to be finding angles again and again.
He does try, nearly gets onto the kill there for Cosmic. Cosmic's ultimate does not actually land on Senpu or yourself V2. And Cosmic is tried to go for this, but he has a movie next to him. He does not have access to Curse the Sad Mummy, so yeah, just how this goes out. Yourself V2 gets his 3 stacks of his Q. Conqueror's now fully up stacked, and Senpu's trying to come in, does not quite get it. And yourself V2, does he have enough life steal? He doesn't, he ends up dying. As a mid lane dive now happens, and a variant will die for that, and for the exchange. There's so much action going on everywhere, I'm losing my words.
Yeah, action everywhere. That is a trademark of VL. You got a exchange in the mid lane where they dive the Yone, and in the end the variant dies for it. You got the intense 2v2 skirmish of top jungle, where the side of Bob Academy wins it out just by the sheer power of Queswick and that Poppy. And in the bot lane, you've got the Vayne that is just stacking up the farm. But at the end of the day, you can see Vayne is 40 CS behind the Sivir. The Sivir has been running this lane over.
Yeah, and this is actually quite a key part for I think TBD success, because they were bleeding sort of everywhere at one point in jungle, mid, and top lane. They were really like losing their leads and losing sort of pressure, and that can be quite a big deal when if the Amumu and Poppy do end up becoming extremely tanky, with Yone also getting quite a big lead in mid lane as well. It ended up being quite almost like difficult. But the Sivir can be a light in the fact that if she can stay ahead and actually get really far ahead, then the early lethality build will have a lot of damage.
Yeah, and it will have a lot of value because I don't think that Yone will be opting to go for Bloodthirster second in this current situation unless he is. He has the option. But the thing is, like, Sivir in this current state, even if he has double lifesteal items, he still outputs a lot of damage in that 18-19 minute phase where the mountain is spawning. And Fluffy Bunny.
Oh, Fluffy Bunny does the flash fade does come out, and the hook does land from the Duma. That was well played by the Duma on this Thresh, and that's going to be a huge shutdown that does go over to the Amumu. And that lead we're talking about does have a shutdown involved on it, and Amumu has actually picked that up. That's a 250 gold shutdown. And also the dragon now goes down, and 40 seconds until the next dragon, which is a Mountain Soul.
Yeah, that was a good pick, but the question here arises. Is expending all of these ultimates and these things worthwhile if you're gonna have a dragon fight really soon? And yourself probably wants to ditch the top lane, and he should. Like, you're never gonna win against the Poppy in this stage when you only have a cleaver and she has Thornmail and some fight.
Yeah, definitely. Navarian is being caught again as well here. There is no curse to Sad Mummy, but Navarian is gonna get hooked. He got hit twice by the bandage toss, and now the hook did land through, and Mr. Wilder is now almost looking for a fight in this top side.
Yeah, Daisy's expended, and Dragon is probably gonna be free for the side of Ball Academy. And that is a very early soul point. I think that is one of the earliest soul points I've seen in BL.
It will be a very, very early soul point, as Senpu is trying to go for this. Gonna get very close onto this one. He doesn't quite get it. He takes a tower shot.
Proc saves Douglas right there.
The Guardian proc, the Immortal shield, and the tower shot just working against Senpu there, and he just cannot find the kill.
That was a very tight timing and a very tight limit. Like, that is great insight from Senpu to be able to realize that he had lethal right there. But it just wasn't his luck, dude.
Oh, and Kurzweig just doesn't care about that turret. He's just going to go straight into there and kill off yourself V2. And this is becoming a very, very difficult game for TBD to actually come back from. And we mentioned it earlier, that soul point, that's going to be, if my maths are correct on this, it'll be a 22 and 3/4 minute soul point for TBD. And a mountain soul point with a Mumu Poppy is it's quite good, to say the least.
Yeah, and most importantly, Mountain in this situation where you have a Katarina that goes off burst and you have a Sivir that goes off poke rotations that have like intermittent durations between them. That is making their lives very difficult, if not obscene. The only person that has good sustained damage output right now on the side of TBD is the Aatrox that is absolutely struggling in this top lane.
Yeah, definitely. And if you just even if we're looking just at the item sets right here, that's 2 items to essentially 1.5 for the side of Bob Academy. The great thing about Ivan, of course, is that it's very low low cost on his items. He does build into the support items with the jungle income, so it's not difficult for him to really start building these items. But
But
even
the
if you're looking,
redemption rush over like an actual Moonstone or Shirelia's here is kind of puzzling to me as an Ivern player myself. I think you would have a lot of value here if you even just get Shirelias and say, okay, they're short range, just like space them out, you know?
hmm, no,
So like
I agree.
Redemption, while is good in theory because they're gonna have the ultimate where you're gonna fight in a close compact space, because that is what Bob Academy wants. It's not what you want this TVD. You want to have like a spaced out poke by the Sivir. You want to find like small skirmishes on the Aatrox where nobody dies, and then you want to engage on your own turn.
That's Navarian having to burn his flash to avoid the bandage toss coming from Mr. Tightness right there. Yeah, just touching on what you were saying there, I think the Shirelias is definitely the right way to go here, just to try and get the Katarina and Aatrox into the middle of a fight, and to try and get some backline access as quickly as possible.
Yeah, but he opted for the redemption, which
Hmm.
indicates he want to do team fights, but we haven't seen a clean team fight yet. Out of the
Well,
side
there's the and Mumik does get a 3-man curse off the sand movement. The barrier is going to go down, but there's a re-engage right here. That is a huge Katarina ultimate. Does eliminate two of them with the assistance of Mr. Fluffy Bunny. He's going to go down to Frederick the Pig, who does end up going down to Aatrox. He actually goes down to Mr. Fluffy Bunny in the end. That Glass Norris is going to go back to his deep, does take a tower shot, and Fluffy Bunny is going to stay alive. The more shield rush does come back in. Triple kill for Mr. Fluffy Bunny. Is he going to go down? Groswick now is the only man left on Bob Academy. Does take one back from Mr. Wilder, and your Selfie 2 is going to try and run him down. He gets one Q. Can he get the other one? Gets a W. He's just going to get himself a couple of auto attacks, and Groswick is going to go down eventually. That is a 5 for 4 for TBD.
And that was just the really like greasy elbow fight right there. Like there was a lot of summoners expended, almost all the ultimates, but it was the turn from Senpu, that amazing Katarina ult that like just turned the game on its head right there. He found the angle, he got the Vayne, he got enormous damage on everyone. And Creswick, while he's really threatening on the Poppy, he takes a lot of time to ramp up his damage. So by the time that his damage ramped up, to get something back, Legolas has already died from the Aatrox. And this is like just closing in the game, because right now, you cannot touch the soul. Like items are just getting almost completed. Like on the recall, on the fight, Aatrox should have completed the second item by now. And the Mirror Mana is going to be fully stacked until yourself is getting into a peculiar situation in the bottom lane.
He does, but the hook does actually, he does actually choose to come back into it. He is going to get taken down eventually. They're going to give it over to the Vayne. And as that happens, there is actually the Baron attempt coming from Bob Academy, and they do not know about this. This is a blind Baron that is currently being taken by TBD. I wonder if anyone's going to have a sniff. We call it a sniff anyway.
Creswick.
And Creswick is going to come along, but it's at 5k, and there's no response. He's thinking about it. He's going to find out right now, but it's on 2.5. He's going to have
He
to
can walk in. They don't do enough damage.
He doesn't want to. Yep, he's not going to have a look. That is actually as a Baron going over to TBD. There is going to be a trade for the Mountain Soul that will be going over to Bob Academy. That's the redemption.
Oh.
That would have been. Yeah. That would have been very funny.
That would have been nasty.
Very hype. Very hype.
That would have been
very
nasty from Wilder that actually connected. But yeah, this is the trade. And this is probably the best outcome you can think of as TBD in this situation. You've lost your Aatrox, you've lost like your main threatening damage source other than Senpu in this situation. Because you need Aatrox as a front line, that's how your comp operates. You have the Ivern that keeps the Aatrox alive and then turns his attention to Katarina as she walks in. Not the other way around, so you've lost your main frontliner in your comp.
Ooh, I thought Legolas was going to look for the space sealed there, but just didn't quite get the spell shield off from Bunny in time to allow that to occur. And one of the things I love about, I think that trade for TBD is it's more beneficial for TBD in this current state because you can deny any wave clear and any siege attempt. As Duma is forced to use the flash, does get tagged by the boomerang.
He is forced to use the flash, but on the hunt has been expended. And right now, this is probably the best thing that TBD can like pray for. Just get the Baron enhanced minions, try to raise some T1 turrets other than the bot lane one. Oh, Legolas.
Oh, Nice, it does. So the hook does come through. It's onto your V2, which isn't the most ideal of hook targets in the middle of a sort of group team fight. As we look towards the bot lane here, Senpu is actually getting a very good split push off here. He's going to get met by Norris and the Doomer, and he has actually noticed that in time. He's going to walk away. So good pressure release off there, and the mid turret does go down for TBD. This is very good map pressure coming in from TBD.
Yeah, you're closing in the gold gap. The gold gap has shrunk all the way to 1500 gold. The important thing right now is don't give anything away. Try to find your recall, try to find your itemization. As you can see, the Moonstone is completed on the Ivern. Second item is completed on everyone.
Senpu does get the tower, does actually go for the ultimate, but Legolas Norris is they're gonna trade on the death right there. Ignite used by the true Senpu does get Norris in the end after Death Lotus. Was slowly interrupted by the knockup. And just a simple trade of 1 for 1.
Yeah, simple trade of 1 for 1, but it's still beneficial for the side of TBD because Katarina wants to find her items. Katarina is gonna be the main threat. Aatrox is gonna be like an MMO like standard. Aatrox is looking like the raid boss tanky, like tanky style of monster. But the Katarina is the assassin that you need to find. She needs to come online in these fights. You cannot let Frederick and Legolas survive on like just like rain-free damage because at the end of the day, yes, you have a little bit of a range advantage with the Sivir, but if a front-to-end teamfight occurs, you are in a huge disadvantage just of the nature of Yone and Vayne. They do enormous amount of damage. So like getting items in the Katarina and accelerating her to the point where she is a legitimate threat and they're scared of her is important.
Yeah, 100%. And with just about 2 minutes 15 until the Elder Dragon does spawn here, it's actually very crucial if Katarina can actually hit onto Zhonya's Hourglass. Well, it got the components for it just now with the Fiendish Codex and the Seeker's Arm Guard. But if they can get onto the Zhonyas, that would be very crucial just to get maybe a kill after Death Flows, then just get the Zhonyas, wait for your cooldowns to come back up, and then you can start going again. But we probably will see a bit of a stalemate right here, or at least that's what I want to see from TBD. You don't have to rush anything, you don't have to force anything right here. Just try and build up as many items as you can. And Water does get tagged with a hook, and he is actually going to get used for the Curse of the Sand Mummy, and he is actually going to flash away. There's Fate Seal coming from Yone, and that's going to take out Mr. Wilder. But Fluffy Bunny is now going to get taken down by the Yone. Also, the E does come into play, the Soul Unbound. And that's a double kill for Legolas Norris as yourself E2 and Kurzwick are going to go into a duel in the top lane. Kurzwick is slowly losing out on this, I would say. The Thornmail coming into a lot of handy now for Kurzwick. As the kill is going to go over to Kurzwick, only just though. I think the Thornmail with the Grievous Wounds was the inevitable factor in the end of that. As Mr. Tinus now trying to go into Senpu. Frederick the Pig is also going to flash forward here and try and kill off Katarina. He's not going to quite get there though. But that is 3 kills in total for 0 on the side of Bob Academy, and that's the mid inhibitor going down.
And that is a nightmare. He had nothing to do. Like, Baron is spawning in a minute and 10. Elder is spawning in a minute and 20. He had nothing to do. He shouldn't be anywhere near enough to be caught off by the side of Bob Academy. Wait for the waves to come into you. They want to farm. They will eventually push the wave into you either way. And Ivern is one of the most low econ junglers in the meta right now, so it's okay, you know, just let things slow out, give the money to the Katarina, give the money to the Sivir, and deal with it. But like right now, you have kind of scuffed your game. Now you're 2.5k gold behind.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
It's a very scary situation.
Yeah, the one thing I would say, I think it was actually a very good play by the Doomer on this Thresh. It was a very, very good hook to throw it into the brush and actually catch out Wilder and then actually say we're going in, like the initiation was there. Cosmic is the flash comes forward with variant to try and get the stacks off, the exhaust also comes off, and that is going to be the stuns coming off right here. But the shield has only just gone away here. Cosmic's going to use the blast plant and actually go over, gets another shield, and you can see how much of a problem this Mountain Soul is. The shield only just came back as Frederick Pig is actually going to get caught here. Frederick Pig does not have a flash. He tries to use it to dive into mid lane. He's going to get killed off by yourself. That's a huge shutdown. Titanus now trying to use the Curse of the moment to try and make a delay. The variant is now getting quite low. The shield is there by Wilder. Fate Seal does come back. It only kits onto the Braum though. Senpu is now going to get locked up by Kurzwick. And Senpu does come out with the Zhonya's Hourglass. Tinus still in the middle of the fight. He's really tanky. He's not taking any damage really. And this side of TVDs are going to come out. And the flash forward coming out right here. That's a double kill for Yone onto the Braum. And Fluffy Bunny's in a lot of trouble. Does get tagged by the Q. And that's going to be a triple kill for Legolas Norris. And mid lane is now pushing in. I am surprised they're not going to try and end the game. They just want the Elder Dragon.
The
but that
Elder
is
is a
a
safer
4 for
option
1.
to end. Yeah, you clean 4 for 1. You got a clean Elder. Yeah.
Ooh,
Still don't
Wilder
use Legolas.
is
Yeah, he's gonna
he
find
wants
him.
to.
He's dead. He's dead. Oh, the
He's
shield.
doesn't die, but he doesn't have flash and no blast plant, so there is no problem with that. And Cosmic has actually gone mid to try and end the game. That's one turret going down. The Super Minions is there. There is no the variant's up in 1 second, and the tower is going to go not down. Actually, the minions did not actually sit and hit the turret, and one turret will survive as Bob Academy, sorry, go to the Baron.
But the game end looks inevitable. You lost Elder, and now you are losing Baron. There is no way you're gonna find the Baron right here. It's dying too quickly. Legolas has done a phenomenal job in this team fight. Yeah, like Frederick died, but Theon managed to stay alive and output as much damage as he could, and he carried the fight. He interrupted Senpu. He forces the Hourglass in an unfavorable situation for him, and he found the kill either way. So it was really good right there from Legolas to find the angle, and this is his expertise showing on Yon. He found the angle, he remained calm, he didn't go for the Ivern right there, that would have been too overzealous. And he managed to just output his DPS calmly, and right now you have double buffed up, you have Soul, the game just looks inevitable. The game will end in like a few minutes from now. Like there will be a final push and the game will end.
That's what that's definitely the expectation right here with especially with an Elder Dragon as well. Which, from what I can gather, we can't actually see the timer, which is a bit unfortunate. But I imagine there would be about a minute remaining on it, maybe even just less than a minute, and you can definitely see the Bob Academy looking for the end. As yourself does take he accidentally takes the knock there. Legolas Norris is dominating, gets one kill. Cosmic now gets a kill onto Mr. Wilder. Yourself V2 trying to get a kill back inside. He's going to get one back, but the Elder Dragon buff is going to be in there. And that's a double kill coming in for Cosmic, and that's the tower going down. And that will be game number 1 going over to Bob Academy, as they are looking for more kills. Cosmic might be looking for a triple, and it's actually going to be the ace for Bob Academy, and game number 1 goes over to Bob Academy.
Yeah, and GG to the side of Bob Academy right here. But if I have to point something out throughout this game, it has been that Legolas has been incredibly consistent throughout the game, and the fact that Creswick just ran top lane over. Really well played from the two of them. But on the side of TBD as well, like Senpu had his showing points. Same thing with Fluffy Bunny. Like you can't really like have a hype moment as a poke Sivir and someone like to that extent as like a Yon or an Amumu finding an amazing ultimate. But he has been very consistent as well on the side of TBD, and he has kept them afloat. It would be really interesting to see because right now you know Poppy is really dangerous if you're gonna blind the Aatrox. Blinding the Aatrox looks very dangerous. So what do you yourself come up with in game 2?
Well, that is one of the questions we will be hoping will be answered, as we will be going into game 2 in a few moments' time. Interested to see what they're going to be doing, because when you come out from when you come out from game 1, remember Bob Academy. Well, the actual one is Bob Academy Junior. Bob Academy Junior did not actually have any bans in game 1. I cannot remember the rule set if that applies in game 2. I'm going to presume it. I'll research it and find out myself. But it'll be very interesting to see what happens with that. So we will be back in a few moments with game number 2 between To Be Decided and Bob Academy Junior. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Official Balance League. We are moments away from entering the draft for game number 2 between Bob Academy Jr. and To Be Decided. Bob Academy Jr. did take the first game after a somewhat convincing win, I would say, all things considered, and really looking to build off that game now. They are going to be going into this game with bans. So for game 1, they did not have access to their first 3 bans, but they will now get that. So, Demise, what do you think? Do you think there'll be any sort of strategy change coming out from To Be Decided? Because that lopsidedness of having that ban didn't quite work out for them.
It didn't work out for them because that made them a little bit confident in their comfort picks, and that came to bite them back with like the Poppy absolutely dominating the Aatrox. If I'm gonna be blunt, it was like pretty okay showing from everyone else, But in the end of the day, like he got too confident and he got outdrafted. Maybe not just outdrafted. Like they were like a standout performance right there from Criswick and Legolas as well, and even
Y-
like Duma at times with the thresh hooks. So like you have like these like things that you have to worry about. Like we cannot blind Aatrox anymore. Like the Katarina has to come in like a better timing than this, or like against a better comp than this, and things like that.
Yeah, definitely. And okay, and there we are into the sort of start of the draft for game number 1. And yeah, you mentioned it as well with that, with top lane, with Criswick playing actually really well on that poppy into Aatrox. And Aatrox is normally something that teams do consider banning against V2 yourself. So I'm really interested to see if they actually leave that open and say, you can pick your best champion, but we can play into it. Or whether TVD actually say, you know what, we're just going to ban out the poppy and actually force you to ban the Aatrox. So a lot of my games could go into picks and bans. I'm not entirely surprised though to see the Katarina getting banned away from the True Senpu though.
Yeah, he did really well. He stood leg on leg against the Yon until very late in the game, and even that late in the game, he was able to trade. Like, like Cruz Sampu has a lot of proficiency in Katarina and really knows his lethals and like limits.
Yeah, definitely. He is. It's definitely like his most played champion by quite a long distance. And gonna see the Camille being banned away then. So it looks like they're not going to be looking at the Aatrox, which I'm not entirely surprised at, as Yone is going to be taken away from Legolas now. So we're going to actually see these two mid laners not on their comfort picks, or at least not on their what we maybe class as their best champions. So this mid lane matchup is going to become a lot more interesting to see who can get the upper hand with when they're not on their best champions.
Yeah, and I feel like maybe the side of Val Academy right here is trying to force TBD into picking the Aatrox. If you ban the Camille away, he's saying we're comfortable against the Aatrox. You have the Poppy as an answer. You either ban that, and probably they have another answer even if you ban the Poppy, or we're just gonna keep rolling on with it if you pick the Aatrox yourself. But there are a lot of power picks that are still on, especially in the jungle. Like they picked the Amumu last game. The Trundle is still open, Diego is still open, Linjao is still open, but the Thresh first pick once again for Duma.
Yeah, and I think Duma had a very good Thresh game. In game number 1, got a lot of crucial hooks. The one that stand out to me was that hook in on Wilder through mid lane after they traded the Baron buff for the Mountain Soul, and then through that fight they managed to remove a lot of the Baron buff. So that I think that's what kind of put them when the stage of being in a lead to then actually finishing the game. As we're not going to see the Ivan this time, at least we're assuming this Jam is going to go to the jungle. I don't see why he would go anywhere else. But we're not going to see the Ivan anymore.
Or are we?
He's baiting.
I mean, if you forego like invading and have a standard clear, the Iron can be
See,
good, but it is terrible. Yeah, he's baiting.
Wilder, I know you. You're not doing. I know you're not going to pick if Jarvan's there.
Yeah, I'm not thinking that they're gonna send Jarvan top or support. That like I don't know, it doesn't feel very likely for the team.
To be fair, Jarvan support is actually. This may be like just myself saying this, but like Jarvan support can actually work in very specific circumstances. Although I heavily do not expect it to go in support. Gonna see the
Especially
volley
against
bear.
Thresh, nonetheless.
Yeah, especially against Thresh. Especially against Thresh. A very competent Thresh player can outplay it. It is a little difficult, admittedly, but it is possible. But we're going to see the volley bear coming out now. I would expect this to be somewhat of a flex pick. I'm pretty sure because we can actually play on this as well as Mr. Tightness, although Mr. Tightness has played a lot more games on it, so I would expect that to go in the jungle, but it can be a flex pick. As we're going to see the Ezreal coming out.
Yeah, and it's leaving
And
the opportunity for the flex pick open. There is again wild there. Okay, man. But like, yeah, you're leaving the options open for Volibear because right now they have to show something. They either match and show the whole bot lane, and then you risk showing a bit of your identity too much, or you show mid lane. And mid lane can dictate what you want to do with the Volibear from here on out, and it is Lux.
so we see the Lux mid coming through here. So it looks like the TBD are going to be centered around this very, I guess, organized, very structured team fight. Looking for a lot of heavy CC with the initial burst coming out from Final Spark. I believe it's called Final Spark.
Yeah, it is.
From Lux. Oh, I'm actually quite happy with that. I did not know
Mhm.
that. Yeah, so Final Spark on Flux. It looks like centered around that very burst combo. We do see the Poppy coming out now. So now if you're Bob Academy, yes. So Bob Academy Junior recognize that and say, yeah, we'll get rid of the Aatrox. Then the counter's gone. We'll get rid of the main.
Yeah, indeed. And this is a situation where now you have to think like you have Zarvin, you have Seraphine, you have Lux. That is the chemistry that you want for like a big, heavy engaged team fight comp. Maybe like you can find a Misfortune here and Fluffy Bunny, or maybe you can find like something like a Rakan as well. And then like oh, never mind, what Rakan?
I want. I want to. I wonder. I wonder if this might be a Seraphine Lux bot lane.
Me too, but I don't know.
I
I feel like it's very unlikely. Like especially like you can put Seraphine Rakan bot lane, and then like have a top laner that also is good in team fights, and you'd have an amazing comp. But I highly doubt that. Ornn is a really good option as well for team fights, and it's
gonna be true. I would have preferred the Ornn into this team comp specifically, because there's no real way for the Ornn ultimate to be stopped unless Thresh gets into the face of the Cho'Gath of the Ornn, sorry. But Cho'Gath does represent a really good option for least laning phase if it is going to be the Volibear's top lane.
yeah. And
He
now
can
is the
match
reverse
the sustain.
Ivan Hover from Frederick.
So it's going to be the reverse Ivan Hover. But it's going to be, yeah, so that's okay. So the Volibear will go into the jungle. They'll be going to top lane and then going to blind a mid laner. I still wonder if this is still a Seraphine Lux bot lane. I do wonder, because the idea came originally from Seraphine Sona, being that you can have the healing aspect as well as the massive shielding aspect.
Yeah.
And currently speaking, there is no champion in the game on Bob Academy Junior side that can build into Serpent's Fang, so the shielding aspect can work out really well here. We will
Yeah, like
we have
Gallia
confirmation
right
on this.
here.
We'll have confirmation in a second. It's a stretch, admittedly.
Usually
But
it's
we
not
will
a
find
stretch. It
out.
just depends on what the 80 carries are comfortable with. There's a lot of 80 carries that aren't comfortable with non-marksman.
Well, I have
Yeah,
been
your
proven wrong
fantasies are a little
massively.
bit too far-fetched.
Yeah, my fantasy is a bit too far-fetched. Sadness evolves. I would have been hyped to have seen Seraphine Lux bot lane for that shielding, but it's okay. We live and we learn, and we shall move on. So, yeah, so you can see the misfortune. It makes a ton of sense based around this team fight, and we do have 30 seconds to go until the lockout has gone out. But we're going to see, is it going to be Seraphine mid lane?
It looks like it will be. Yeah, I think it is. It is.
They do have 20 seconds. Okay, so it is going to be Seraphine mid lane and Lux support. I'm a little bit surprised, because I think you would have had more damage at the very least and more sustainability if you had the Lux in mid and the Seraphine in bot lane. But that's just my personal opinion. It does also depend on who can, who's more professional on each individual champion. But looking on both sides, so yeah, TBD have a very organized.
Yeah, TBE wants one thing and one thing only. They want to find the EQ on Jarvan, then they want to find the Encore, they want to find the team fight, they want to find the bullet time, they want to find the final spark.
Mm.
They have a really clear idea of what they want to do, and they want to do it regardless of what the kind of the enemy comp is. Cho'Gath is just there as like Cho'Gath is not my cup of tea in that kind of team comp, but if I have to conceptualize why he's there, he is the safety net. Like if things go bad, like if your engage is being like collapsed on, you always have the silence, and the silence can interrupt and will interrupt the Galio taunt, and that is really valuable. Like if you like lessen the taunt duration or make it not reach to the full circle of the taunt, that is really big in a team fight standpoint. And especially like looking at the side of Ball Academy, you don't really have that much range outside of the Ezreal. Like everybody wants to go in and wants to be as much the closest melee as possible.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I agree with that. One question I would like to pose though, in case of like these two team cons combined, TBD are pretty much looking for the big burst, right? They're looking for a big burst off their combo, take down as many people as they possibly can. Do you think this will still work later on in the game? Because Galio, Gallo does build into AP, but still remains relatively tanky if he goes in for the Aftershock. We will find out, obviously, in a few moments if he will go Aftershock. But the Aftershock potential and the Magic Shield from the shielded around, plus Volibear and Urgot, they're quite tanky. Or at least, like, there's a special word I can't think of it, but pseudo tank. That's what I was thinking for, like a pseudo tank. So, do you think this burst combo from TBD can actually still work later on in the game when the items still are coming up in the HB starts build?
I think the team comp will work. Especially like look at champions like Volibear and Galio. Like Galio, if he goes Aftershock, you're pretty bit much out of luck. Unless you've really managed to find a really good catch on him later on in the game. But Volibear and Urgot specifically are more of pseudo tanks or deceptively tanky champions rather than actual like brute tanks, akin to something like a Cho'Gath or an Ivern. Where sure, like Volibear may look like he's tanky and he has a big HP pool, but most likely look at his stats and his items. Most of the time, he doesn't have the biggest resistance pool. Like his armor and magic resist are pretty low, and he also relies on like his shield and his healing from the bite to like stay healthy in team fights. But he won't have that if he's like being knocked up, silenced, knocked up again by the Cho'Gath, hit with an encore, and then a bullet time. Like the timing doesn't seem to be there. So yes, on one hand, you're probably never gonna find the Ezreal unless there is a blunder on the side of the Ezreal. But until the mid to late game transition, like until what it would be like 3 items or 3+ items, your comp is in 100% effectiveness as far as TBD goes.
Yeah, and yeah, so we touched on it earlier. So it is the Gallo it's like Gallo is going to go into the Aftershock. Into that, so it's going to be a little more tanky as soon as you get any CC chain there. So approaching into the start of game number 2 then. Bob Academy Jr., of course, on match point to try and take home a 2-0 series win over TBD, and TBD looking to kind of start the counter and actually try and get back into this game. So we'll be with you after we have synced up. Okay, and we are synced up and ready to go. And TBD are going to be on the red side, and Bob Academy Jr. going to be on the blue. Game number 1, we saw TBD looking for a level 1 through the bot lane, but it looks like it's going to be Bob Academy Jr. looking for a invade through the mid lane, because Wilder is going to go into mid lane and spot them out. And he takes a Mystic Shot for his triples. The invade is sent out, having a dance off.
Dance off, bro. Yeah, it looks just like pretty standard.
TBD are not doing the dance off.
Back and forth. Yeah.
TBD are not participating in the dance off.
Speaking of both teams in this circumstance, both teams in their first game of this split have lost the first game and then managed to reverse sweep it into 2-1. So like they both have the capability to turn things around, which would be a good thing for TBD, like if they manage to keep the same streak going. But so far, Bob Academy has shown that they are like pretty capable in taking control of the map. Yeah, sure they had like a little bit of waverings in game 1, but for the most part they had control of the game.
Yeah, definitely. Yourself is going to find Cosmic in him. Cosmic is he doesn't mind taking that because he doesn't get the PTA proc, so he doesn't mind taking extended trade. And yourself B2 will be able to. I should actually call him B2 yourself because he did change his. He has actually changed himself. So, but it's the same champion. Or same player, sorry. As we're going to see a standard clear coming in here, so it looks like the junglers are going to be mashing themselves this time around. See the invade in game number 1, but there's going to be just a standard clear right now, and it looks like Jarvan has the first push going to top side.
Yeah, I think the Titan has just opted in for a bolt here from the looks of it, which is understandable because like yourself is going to be extremely tanky with how much sustain he has on the Cho'Gath. Seraphine probably wants to lay back, chill, let the Gallios assist you. Bot lane you don't really have scale pressure in, so like you just opt in for the 6 camp clear and you get one of the scuttles and you call it a day. is much better off than like trying to flip something that could destroy his comp in that situation.
It could do. Looks like Mr. Wild is going to forego his top clear and actually look for a gank straight onto Guzvik here. Guzvik does have a ward in the river, but he's not actually going to spawn until the very last second. On a great Q there by yourself, B2 to stop Guzvik in his track. He's actually now going to get very low. He does have flash available. He is going to use it, and
another rupture connect.
Another fantastic rupture by yourself, B2. He is going to stay alive. A fantastic double rupture there from yourself to assist the kill and actually get that against top laners. Volibear is staying here as TP coming in from Cosmic, and another good rupture from Double Times is going to get that kill. And Wilder's now in a lot of trouble. He does not have the flag and drag available to him, and he's going to give up his life, and it's a double kill over to Mr. Tightness. And that is a fantastic reverse gank coming in for Bob Academy Junior.
Yeah, and that is the thing about like trying to find level 2 or level 3 ganks and then overstaying. Death timers are so low that Titanus managed to run and TP get channeled in time where you trade for 2v1 instead of just having to 1-0 and then retreating and playing it safe. Really well played there for Titanus to find the angle and Questwick to hold on to his disdain and wait until Wilder flashes.
Yeah,
but
I
as
think
a whole, you self-played that first gank really well as well.
Yeah, I think it was overall just good play by both the top jungle duo of both teams, because Wilder and yourself would have had to stay there to try and crash the wave to avoid a game frozen into his turret, because yourself would have had to recall straight after that kill. So they were looking to actually push that out and actually try and get a recall set to avoid the lane being in a really awkward position. So it's actually very well. It was actually a very well played by Mr. Tidus to actually come straight up and actually delay that push and actually give enough time for Cosmic to get his teleport off. We do see the top skull crab did overgo to Titus in the end, so the bot skull crab is remained to see what happens there, but it looks like Titus is going to get the first track on that as well. It's actually going to be going to clear his crux, so it looks like it's going to be a double scuttle crab for Mr. Titus as well as that.
Yeah, double crab, you have 2 kills, you're almost 3 camps ahead, because by the time that Wilder finds the rest of his camps, oh, this thing connects.
Your Sophie 2 is going to go quite low there, and it looks like he's going to gank it in. Navarian did a great play and a really good move again. Gets a kill onto Navarian. Navarian did burn his flash, and there's a flash trade, and Navarian does end up losing his life for it.
Yeah, and it was really good from Zuma once again throughout the second game. Just being really calm, collected, knowing the timing, knowing when to play and when to hook, and always ganking this hook. That is really pivotal in this situation. And you can see this, the gank coming from Wilder.
He is going to get a slow, does have red buff available to him, so he will be able to chase him down. There's no dash coming in for Cosmic. Wilder does have, he's going to have access to flag and drag in about 2 seconds. He doesn't need it, he just needs the drag, not the flag. And he gets a kill back for himself in top lane.
Yeah, and well played from Wilder, maybe a little bit overzealous from Creswick right here. Like, you don't have a ward, you're a little bit overextended, and the worst of all, you're hugging the tower. Like you're hugging the wall, the river. Which makes it even easier for Wilder to show up in game. And there was a roam right there between Zuma and Titanus that didn't pay off. Seraphine just going to do certain things, just hug the tower, get your item, get on the backline. I'm kinda like surprised that he is apparently gonna go for a support mythic in that situation. I would have assumed maybe he would have gone Leandris on the Seraphine.
Yeah, this is one of the times that Leandris probably would have been a good idea actually, because like we mentioned earlier in the pre-draft, right? Volibear has taken the Cloud Dragon by himself. We mentioned it, didn't we? That there's going to be 3. If they're not going to be at least tanky with resistances, they are going to have quite a lot of HP, which Leandris works perfectly into because it does max % HP damage. So it is a little bit surprising. There is also potential that it could be maybe not a support mythic. It could be something else. Could be different, like it could be Redemption, for example.
The only item that builds of Mandalgrad is Chemtic Fruitifier, but that's one item. Other than that, it's not.
Ah, well, thank you very much for my. Well, thanks for correcting my mistake there. I don't think I'll be very surprised. So yeah, it'll most likely be the support mythic there. Yeah, a little bit surprising, but maybe they hope that they'll have enough damage sort of in the game through Misfortune and the Jarvan to actually do enough damage in the end to actually kill them off. But we will we'll see how that goes.
so far you see how like big the lead is between Titanus and Wilder. Even though Wilder has been like finding kills and finding ganks. Oh, yourself.
Ooh, he misses the dash on there, and yourself gets a very good trade-off there. And Tinus is in the enemy jungle right here. He's really by himself. He does have to ult away there with the Stormbreaker. Yeah, he got caught out just being by himself there with no real support. So he does have to burn his ultimate to get out there. And a good response by Mr. Oda and also TBD to try and actually force more.
Yeah, and they're trying to pull something here on TBD, and this time around, B2 yourself is the one that is having autonomy over the lane. And Nicholas?
And this is... It's going to be very low there, but he's going to get the shielded around resistances off.
Yeah, he should stay alive. Yeah.
Ooh, that was...
Very close and very interesting, this situation.
Yeah, that was maybe a lack of concentration there. I actually didn't realize that all his minions had died off there and just greeded for that tower plate, but does have to burn his flash. I would not call that worth, to be honest. And I'm a fan of calling a lot of things worth, but that wasn't one of them.
Yeah, and it is really big because now you don't have flash for your first hero's entrance. And that can be the difference between like finding a flash E or a flash taunt angle and not finding it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like as we can like see in the scoreboard, everything is pretty even aside from the jungle where Titanus has this big lead and he has a 300 gold shut down on him. Oh, and a variant.
The bind does catch onto Frederick the Pig. He's going to go quite low here. Mr. Pokemon is going to unleash the bullet time. There's the flash, there's the heal coming out from Frederick the Pig, and does have to get away from the bullet time. A very good binding right there. Bind a variant to start the fight off with, and does force Frederick the Pig to use both his summons.
And Frederick is really low right now. I don't think he will be in a position to keep catching the waves. He could be Dovon.
He does, in Lux has just turned level 6, so Final Spark is actually now available. Bob Academy Jr. In the top side of the map, just taken off the Rift Herald, and the rest is up there as well, so it's definitely just him by himself. And looks like he's just going to get zoned off this wave once again, but he did get off on a very good jump right there, and a good flash by yourself, you to avoid the cosmic flash dash.
Yeah, and it's the flash trade as well, which is really important because that means that Creswack won't have the flash disdain in the next dragon fight, which is probably gonna be the first like actual true team fight in the game. Everything else is like 2v2, 3v3 skirmishes. But they seem to be angling up on V2 yourself, who have just lost his flash, and you can see Wilder is coming in, but he just seems a little bit too out of it.
Yeah, there's a Stormbreaker coming through, will disable the turret. Yourself V2 is going to be in a lot of trouble, and there's no real counter to that, essentially. And Mr. Titanus will get himself his 4th kill of the game. He has all the kills on the side of TBD. Bob Academy Jr., sorry. And Rift Herald will be summoned up, and that will be the first tower of the game going over to Bob Academy Jr. And a very good play overall in the top side, and a very nice cash injection going into the top lane.
Yeah, very big cash injection.
Oh, and Senpu's getting really low. He's down to less than maybe 10 HP, and actually does end up dying to the Gallery Ignite.
Yeah, the dubstep ignite.
The dubstep ignite comes out, and there's a solo kill in the mid lane for Galio there. And you mentioned him, this is a support item, the support coming through for Seraphine. And it looks like there's more of an AP build coming out from Lux, so I refer back to the draft and refer back to, you know, if we wanted the Seraphine to build the support item, why did we not put the Seraphine in support? And if we wanted Lux to build the AP, why did we not put the Lux in support?
Yeah, especially that like support items
sense.
are cheaper. Yeah, support items are cheaper, so like if you wanted to like forego support items as a whole, I would have understood that. Like, you want Seraphine as like a hybrid between supporting and a mage to an extent, because that is sometimes what she feels when like she goes beyond 3. But right now you don't have neither a support mythic on the Seraphine, and she's playing from behind because she doesn't have that much AP. And as you can see, like Bob Junior Academy, they're gonna find their second dragon. There doesn't seem to be that much contestation.
Yeah, there's no way for the. Ooh, and Firefly does not actually hit Bob Academy Jr. there, but Dragon was taken down before the Firefly could actually make any impact, and is again another Mountain Soul. You saw how much of a problem this was for
TP is
TBD.
out. Griswack.
because it does actually get the teleport off. It does land his Q. It does have the home guard effect still, or teleport effect still, but doesn't quite get his hands onto SLB2 just yet. And it's going to die down. But as I just mentioned earlier, as every time I make a point, there seems to be something happening in top lane or mid lane. Good trade back coming out from Senpu. So I was going to mention, we saw a lot of issues with the Mountain Soul, as there's going to be a counter gank going here. Predator picks goes after Arcane shift away. They see the Volibear, and Volibear sees Jarvan. The Stormbringer does that, and
Flash was a little bit too much, but I think it's okay. Better be safe than sorry in that situation. You're trying to like save. I mean, the thing that doesn't make sense to me at least is if you're gonna pick a team fight comp, why wouldn't you at least try to flip the dragon? Like right there, you had the encore, you had the final star. That could have been enough to kill people. Like they aren't that tanky yet. And here comes the encore. It's not gonna be too much. Shield of Durant still possessed.
The encore will give Galio a nice little tune in his ears, but other than that, he'll do close to absolutely nothing. If I'm going to be absolutely honest with it.
What's Mr. Seraphine? Kind of sad to be honest.
Oh, he actually gets the flag back into him, but Juma gets the flay down, gets the hook down, there's the flip, the box is out, and the Jarvan character is going to come out. There's not much difference. It's going to be kill over to the side of Legolas Norris on the Galio, and now Galio is now 2-0-0. It does have the Proto Belt. And
yeah,
it
remember,
like,
this is a flash to Seraphine right there, and the flash death sentence as well.
The flash death sentence, the flash shield of Durant coming out from Legolas Norris about, and that's a third kill of the game coming over. All 7 kills are for the mid jungle duo of Bob Academy Jr. As the final spot is going to come out and just remove the shield from Galio here. And again, just the same, it's a very similar thing to what happened in game 1. It seems on TVD, just kind of falling apart the seams just a little bit as a result of this early game.
Yeah, but the thing is, in this game, even though it looks kind of grim, they still have their team fight, and Varian is walking into dangerous waters.
This is not your jungle anymore, my friend. He's going to get stunned up here, or gets the root down and fresh, and he might actually be able to live off this. But Tinus is not going to let him live on this. He's going to go forward.
He flashed in place as well.
He just flashed in place, just had to do it, didn't he? And if they're not finished here, Jarvan is going to get caught here. Oh, and the flay does not actually stop the flag and drag. Would have been a fantastic flay though if you got timed that correctly, but it is difficult. But another kill to Mr. Tinus, who's now 5-0-0, has the Divine Sunray completed. Had that completed a very long time ago.
That is a very big Volibear right there. It's kind of scary that the 2 members that are the ones that have the most resources right now as far as gold on the side of the Bob Jr. Academy are the ones that are going to be the hardest to kill. They don't have that much damage in the Seraphine. Lux is kind of out of sorts, and
a bullet time with the fast back actually very nearly killed both of them, but Juma with a great hook, a very good death sentence, understanding that Mr. Cloak from the Volibear hook as well, and just gets himself into the onto the Lux. But yourself is going to get CC up completely hit. Juma is actually very low. Juma gets it. To yourself, the guy does get the chop down eventually, but he is eventually going to survive. I think it's 2 not covered. Wilder's just going to die off the Galio as well.
Senpu is just a little bit ticked to the Galio. Yeah. Sad to see, like the Galio has just opted straight up for Sorcerer. That is how insignificant it used the AP damage on the side of TVD.
Well, if you look at the moment, like there's not a lot of magic resist coming out from the side of TVD. So, you know, and while you're this far ahead, you might as well see if you can actually snowball this game and actually like use more damage and see if you can really storm this game over. We do have 17 seconds until the next dragon, which is the mountain, and Mountain Soul will just be very difficult. Duma, is he going to find the death sentence? He's going to find Legolas Norris. He's going to look for the hook. Just misses. Norris is going to actually get this down. It's a lot of damage down on the smoke, but the ignite is actually down. I think he dies does die to the Ignite. Very, very well played by Legolas Norris there to get the kill on Mr. Fluffy Bang.
Yeah, and it was really important to hit that further at the time. Excitement,
And another
that is
down. Guy's gonna get knocked down. He does get knocked down. That is a very big shutdown indeed. A 600 gold extra on top of the kill going over to Mr. Wilder, who does have to. He's the main initiator of this team. He's the main. Yeah, he's the main initiator. He's the one who's got to get things started up. So the more tankier he becomes, the easier any team fight does become. But
yeah, while Creswick is getting the top lane almost down to inhibitor,
he does actually get the tower down.
The dragon is being traded over for that.
So it's very good that TVD can actually delay that Mountain Assault point. Bob Academy Jr. A lot of their team can actually use it incredibly well. And Wilder, he is looking for this. Frederick Pink is going to just take the damage right here. There's the Arcane Shift and no Cataclysm comes out. You can't really Cataclysm into a turret.
And Moby Boost and Duma. Wilder is in a bit of a pickle.
Oh, and Duma does miss out on the play, which is very unlucky.
And the late timing as well. There's just the unfortunate from Duma right there.
Yeah, that would have been a fantastic play if he actually got that in time, but it's gonna have to just kind of settle down for TBD right here. 12 kills to 4, 11 of them to Volibear and Galio combined, and Volibear is now approaching his second item of the game as well as Galio, so you can really see how far ahead that they are right now. And just looking at the gold graph, it's a 1600 gold lead for the side of, well, for Mr. Titus just in the individual matchup, and 1300 just for Legolas. So a lot of this gold lead on side for Bob Academy Jr. is in this mid jungle duo.
Yeah, and it is the mid jungle duo that's gonna be most problematic because you don't have damage in the mid lane. The only source of actual damage you have right now is the Zorban, Spice with the Shogat, and the Mistral. But
yeah, and there's going to be the Stormbringer coming out there. Just to say with the turret, this one is going to get taunted up right here. That's going to be in a man coming out. That's another kill onto Volibear. Mr. Bobby Bunny gets his kill, and Crismic does actually get out, and it's a 1-for-1 trade. Which, in this situation with TBD, you would take that as a trade.
You would take that, but that was really good coding right there, right?
Oh, I must have missed that.
Like the Urgal was literally running back and forth, and a very close push from Duma right there. Yeah, a very good one for one.
Duma goes for does actually get the fade down. Mr. Bobby is going to get taunted right here. Going to go down. The Baron is also going to go down. The Megaforce is so low, but he's going to remain alive. Whereas the Andrew's coming from yourself. P2 is now going to get caught up by Mr. Duma. Does not have access to the piece. And there's the most elaborate arcane shift I've ever seen from Israel. Duma is still searching, he does get another hook, and Duma is really low right here and is going to get taken down. And now Legolas is getting really low here. Another kill for yourself P2 might be in the coming. It is actually got a big shutdown, so let's get the shutdown. It's a 600 gold shutdown for yourself P2, so this is a good injection. So yeah, the chase is still coming. And Mr. Order's going in for the kill right here, but he does not have access to the Cataclysm, does not have enough damage to kill off Israel, and he's going to go down. Senpu now going under his turret, and the final stack does come out, puts Frederick the Pig to very low, but he's not going to be able to get the variant will not get the kill off the final spot. A lot of action, and it does end up being just a slight gold increase again for Bob Academy Jr., even after your Selfie 2 does get a double kill and the shutdown from Galio.
Yeah, and once again, DVD can find the scrapes to keep themselves in the game. They can find the massive shutdown that they have found, but they always go a little bit over their head. And you yourself have gotten that enormous 900 gold shutdown on Legolas, and he has found an absolute shame. But the variant once again is a deja vu.
Oh, you'll remind me of that. I missed that team so much. So Mr. Titus nearly gets a kill into the variant, and because Rick just misses out on that match to flip over the variant and actually go down. But yeah, so we've got 1 minute 10 until the next Mountain Dragon. A Mountain Dragon here for TBD would be very crucial. Again, it delays the soul point, and
Shuttle is for yourself, and he's been found here.
He's getting found by Duma, gets another good hook. He does force a flash out of himself B2. These hooks are landing from Duma, and they are very close to getting killed, but Anathema, so we see the Anathema's chains now being brought out from the from yourself V2. looking to see if he can reduce any form of CC. And with the dragon coming up, so you mentioned this. You mentioned about just for flipping the dragon. They do have a good 5v5, so it looks like they are trying to set themselves up for this.
And the anathema chain is set on the S-Wheel, so the main source of poke damage won't be that threatening to LB2 right here in that situation. Frederick has been brought to half HP, but he should be healing them up with the Divine Thunder right here. And this is probably gonna be as close as it will get for TBD if they want to find the fight right here. Because from here on out, their effectiveness goes down. They have less and less damage.
And there's Tinus going in for the Stormbringer right there. They're actually going to be in a choke point right here. So the encore is going to land into pretty much everyone left. As well as someone can come through as well. Everyone is probably going to be actually come down very low right here. But it's going to be 2 kills over the side of probably going to be Judah. Frederick taken out and actually shift forward. And what seemed like a really good position for a team fight. Everything landed, but just not enough damage to try and kill off the HP bars, really. And it looks like Bob Academy Jr. will go and take the Mountain Dragon and will be on Mountain Soul Point by about the 28.5 minute mark, or nearly 29-minute mark.
Yeah, and this is what happens when you have like Volibear that is almost 2 items, you have 2.5 items for the dog, and you have 2.5 items. One of them is a voice tap on the Galio. Galio is very tanky with that aftershock, and Volibear has more than enough HP that he doesn't care about being caught in the first time. Because in this situation, you haven't had the Mythic on Lux, he doesn't do that much damage yet because he's important and he's only level 9. Your higher level, the level 13 Seraphine, has Moonstaff. So like not much damage of that on 4 right there. Or even the following the Q, the high note, or even the following high note. So once again, like it is very hard for that comp to function from behind. And this was probably as close as they can get in Frederick.
Well, it's a very Frederick does go down really low here. Wilder is going to try and like initiate onto him. There's no flash, there's no kind of shift, but there is a lantern from Fresh again coming to the rescue. Then a true shot Mirage comes through, kills the Varian, and Mr. Wilder now is in the loop. He's trying to take his chickens, but they're not there anymore. And he's Galio's going to get the kill onto Mr. Wilder, and it's 2 kills. Even after trying to kill the Ezreal, we all thought he was going to be killed off. He had no flash, he had no arcane shift, but there is a lantern from the Duma, and a Baron now is going to be attempted. Your Selkie 2 is in the bottom lane. Now you mentioned that because the beast may have been an opportunity, but he's not going to go there. He's actually going to just trade into the bottom. And a good, end up being a good fight.
Like once again, Duma like swapped with either with Lantern, with the Hub. The one thing that I've been missing in this game, have you seen a Fear Beyond Death actually connecting?
You know what? No, I haven't, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening. Sometimes I see it on cooldowns, and most of the time it isn't.
I don't think I've seen it casted.
I've seen it casted once, but it's with.
I must have missed him like hitting it, like shooting it the first. But I guess there's only, I guess you can use it really as an execution tool. And simply, there's just hasn't been needed because anytime there's been a fight, typically it's been Mr. Timeless or like that's not just bursting them to death. So it's just not really had to be used in a situation, but.
And the variant could be struggling, could be Wagner in the jungle right here. But yeah, it is kind of sad that you're going to.
Navarian is face checking at the Lux into the jungle is not too advisable. As you can see right there, he does get picked off pretty easily. And Cosmic now is in the bottom lane, trying to use the Sliver, using the Baron buff right here, as there's also pressure from the mid lane. So yeah, a pressure on 2 fronts right here, mid and bottom Academy Jr.
Yeah,
and
right
Duma does land another hook, and he's going to go after that. That's going to be the flash code for, but I guess the taunt, that's a double kill. 2 kills over to Bob Academy Jr. That's going to be what's going on Israel, and Buckbane now has to run away as yourself is going to get hooked turn again. Duma does get killed off by, and there is the fear beyond death. It does get completed. Maybe for the second time in the game he's used it the first time to actually destroy. And that is going to be the mid inhibitor down, and I think they will look for the win here. The next person coming up is going to be Wild, but that's a 10 time.
And the spawns are staggered, and I think this is the opportunity. You have the Baron buff, he's going to end the game right here. And it is a very comfortable game to the side of the Ball Cat. You have to do
Yeah,
really good job with the missed opportunity right there and carry company.
yeah, that will be game number 2 going over to Bob Academy Jr. And that'll be a 2-0 win for Bob Academy Jr. GG, well played. Congratulations to Bob Academy Jr. on a 2-0 victory over to be decided.
Indeed, and that should put them straight to the top of the group for the time being, and also knock down 3 decided on the 3B. Because you still have Full Metal Jacket and Rocket Academy to play their second game. Sorry, Full Metal Jacket and Chronicles of Garen Mid to play their second game as of yet.
Yeah, so yeah, with it only being just week 2, there is still, of course, a lot of the split left to go. So obviously, with the implications of playoffs and everything like that and seeding, there's still always going to be that chance. It's still early on in the season, but it'll be interesting to see how we go on from here. But very very convincing series here from Bob Academy Jr. And especially after that game 1 where they did not have the bans, those 3 bans going in, and they actually played really well. But when they did have the bans, they managed to get rid of some of the key picks for to be decided, and they actually just showed right there they can actually take a game very convincingly. So very well played by the side of Bob Academy Jr. right there.
Very well played, but I would have to say, like, they have done a great job on Bob Academy, but there are some mishaps in game 2 that are pretty noticeable. If you wanted to go the Ludens on the Lux, you should have sent their mid. Like that
Mm.
is just a very flawed way of approaching the game. Especially if you want the Seraphine to go support, like to go supportive, not just support. She can still stack the tier in the bot lane. It's actually even easier because Duma is melee, and you have an easier time because you have the shield. The high notes are easier to land than most of Lux's abilities, and you have the CC opportunity as well. So like, I don't know. I just think that like the way that they have handled the Seraphine and the Lux in this game has been the biggest like pitfall. But speaking of the game, who do you think is the MVP of the series so far?
Ooh, it's a difficult decision. I think with if I was to go, I think players on that team for Bob Academy Jr. I think in that game too, Mr. Tinus played that volleyball and actually played that early clearance in the mid game extremely well and got himself. I think it was like about 4-0, 5-0 in the first 10 minutes, and really just control that top side of the map really really well. But again, like Duma on this thresh played outstanding in both games, landed some very key hooks. So I would probably personally want to give it to Mr. Tightness if I want to be honest. Even though Juma is a very close second in my opinion, and he did play that extremely well. I think Mr. Tightness just managed to get into the game really early, especially on that volley bear and on the Amumi, and actually get some very key ultimates down, which actually did make the team fight work so well for Bob Academy Jr.
Yeah, but if I'm gonna give it myself to someone, I'd have to give it to Legolas throughout both of the game 1 and 2. He's been really stable on the own. He has been the one that has found the damage and the carry performance, even when Frederica got out sometimes by Sempu's Katarina. And in game 2, he just rolled the game over. Yeah, I mean, granted, it's a bit easier, but like still, at the end of the day, it was really good performance from him in both games, and we seem to have an interview that is impeding upon us.
Yeah, so we're just waiting for. It looks like we'll be getting. So again, I'm going to butcher this name. Criswick. I think I say Criswick. Criswick. He will be rumored, should we say, rumored to be coming in, but we shall see what happens. Okay, and we have him right here. The rumors are indeed. How are you doing, my friend? How did you feel those games went?
Hello, yeah, we're really happy. We're feeling good. Bob's somehow winning the split. We don't know what's happening, but we like it so far.
Is the prophecy going to come true then? How far do you reckon Bob Academy Jr. are going to be going in this split?
I think our goal is always to make the playoffs so we can get rid of those, Academy Junior tags. But other than that, we didn't really plan anything going into the split because we've won 0 games last split. So we're just in for the ride, as always.
Yeah, I think that's always the best attitude to go with. Um, one thing I was interested is how did you find that game one? Because of course you didn't have those three bands um, to work with. So I'm actually interested. Like, did you what? I mean, did you do any preparation at all for that game, or did you just sort of simply go, "We'll see what happens, and we'll pick whoever's available," kind of deal?
Yeah, that's mostly how we do our picks. Preparation is not really a Bob kind of thing to do. Um, we just screw around a little and see what works and what doesn't work for us. We got some good power counter picks in, and I think we can be happy about that. But other than that, things just kind of fell into place for game one.
Demise, did you have any questions you'd like to ask?
Okay. First of all, GG, congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
First thing first. How is your name pronounced?
It's Kritzvik, or for the English speakers, Kritzvik works.
Cliswig. Okay.
Chris Wick.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm pretty sure I pronounced it like that for the majority of the stream.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
okay, that's good. I didn't butcher it too much. Then I'll take that as well.
Okay, alas. We've saved it. Okay, so congratulations on an amazing performance in both games. I just have a few questions.
Yes.
So, what happened to the free beyond death? like in the
It's
second game, there was only one execute. I've only seen one land probably.
sorry, excuse me. Can you repeat the question?
The Urgot ultimate.
Oh, yes.
I've only seen one landing in the whole game.
I mean, I landed a few, but people exploded too quickly. But I was really not having a very itchy trigger finger today. I don't know why I was like holding on to them so hard, but I just didn't feel like shooting those.
Yeah, I mean, safety is always a good act, especially
Yeah,
like with massive guns like the one that Urgot have.
yeah.
Speaking of the Urgot, like looking at the game, like you didn't have the most stellar scoreline out of everyone, but you held yourself really well, and you were a pivotal part of that win next to Titanus and Legolas right there. So how did you feel going into game two, saying that like they have this like really intense, heavy team fight comp from the side of TVD, but you were like confident in the comp that you have drafted against them?
Honestly, no, not at all. I was not quite sure what we were like doing with our second draft, and we all didn't have an exact idea. But we just kind of learn to work with it. Like that's kind of the Bob way. We learn to work with what we have because we don't really like um, draft with a lot of brain. So we've become good at that, and I think that's how it worked out in game two, because we just focused on the macro, and like the micro just took care of itself, I think.
Okay, and finally from my side, speaking of
Mhm.
macro and preparations, next week you'll be facing Full Metal Jacket. Do
Mhm.
you have any expectations of the game? Are you gonna go in confident because you're 2-0? Do you have any specific preparations for them as a team? Or are you just gonna face roll it like always?
Uh, yeah, that's probably gonna be our play. We I don't. I'm sorry, and I don't mean that in any way as offensive, but I don't really know any of the three teams because I always forget. Um, but I'm sure Full Metal Jacket are gonna be a formidable foe, and I'm looking forward to playing them. That's all the prep we.
And
Yeah,
over to you, Ma.
yeah. So yeah, as you mentioned, there's going to be a that game going on next week, and yeah, so Bob Academy Junior and Full Mental Jackets being the two remaining teams in Division 3B at the moment who being undefeated. Um, so now you guys are 2-0. I think you mentioned earlier that your goal is just basically just to make playoffs and kind of
Yeah,
just have fun along the way.
yeah.
Um, when you, oh, if you do reach the playoffs, what would be what would your goals then change into?
Uh, that's really good questions because we haven't made playoffs basically since our first appearance in VL, I think.
It's the prophecy. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, so we haven't really planned that far ahead because we never thought we'd make it this far. Mm, I think we're just gonna wing it, what Bob does best, and see what happens.
I think that's always a good strategy to go
Yeah,
in with. Just you just gotta see what happens, haven't you?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I personally don't have any more questions. Demise, do you have any more further questions you'd like to ask?
No, not personally, no.
Okay. Well, congratulations and very well played on the series for tonight, and very well done on a 2-0, and best of luck for the rest of the split.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to seeing if the prophecy is fulfilled and Bob can reach playoffs, and who knows, maybe we can go further than that, but we will obviously see what happens later on.
All right. Thank you very much for the interview.
Thank you very much for joining us, and that will be the end of our broadcast for tonight. Thank you very much for everyone who tuned in, and congratulations once again to Bob Academy Jr. on a 2-0 win over To Be Decided. Tune in, I believe later on this week there'll be a Division 1 and 2 game. I might be lying. I haven't looked at the schedule. I'm just going to assume there is.
On Thursday. On Thursday, yes.
On Thursday
Division
there
1 and
should
2 on
be.
Thursday.
Yes, on Thursday should be a game being streamed. So please tune in for that. But until then, I've been Ma.
And Demise is with you, and thank you, and good night.
Good night, everybody.